IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 101.3 Jams.
We live in a society in which structural racism is a very real thing. We are all dealing with that in every aspect of our lives, and the media is a reflection of our community.
Historically, black people have been portrayed a certain way in the media to justify normative assumptions around political and social issues.
More black people behind the cameras, in front of the cameras, more producers, more people of color producing, so they can go and get the content that's needed so they can highlight our attributes.
I've been in this industry for 15 years, and I've seen firsthand how our voices just aren't heard. Even if you're in the newsroom, sometimes you get completely ignored and stereotypes are allowed to perpetuate. And one thing we want to do is combat that and also bring information to people so they can be as informed as possible when choices are made in this city, so they can do whatever they can to get their voices heard.
What I believe can be done about the situation is to have more people of color creating news stories, more people who have a interest in and a social consciousness that relates to the stories that they're telling.
Charlottesville Tomorrow looks at these issues. We can present them on IMHO. Vinegar Hill Magazine can take that a step further, and just together we can just make this thing that can be an example of how we can change the media landscape, how we can be more inclusive to get these voices in, to get these people heard. That's just one thing that doesn't happen in so many places, and it's a shame.
We think we live in a society that's very progressive, and we're talking about equity and diversity and inclusion and all these things. Still, the way that black people, and I would say, and I would argue, especially black men, are portrayed by the media is incredibly dangerous, and you've seen the sort of tangible violence that it's led to over the past year.
The community can support the SIM project by first and foremost giving us an opportunity. We understand that it can be difficult to give trust right now, especially considering the current social and political environment. But this project will only be as successful as the community allows it to be. And so we ask you to give us the opportunity to do the work, critique the work, and make sure that we stay aligned with the vision. Another way that the community can get behind the SIM project is through engagement. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you're talking about. We want to put your stories out there. And so whether it's reading the articles written by Charlottesville Tomorrow or Vinegar Hill Magazine, or tuning in to In My Humble Opinion on Sundays on 101.3 Jams from noon to 3 p.m., either way, we want you engaged. We want you to be part of this. The community can also support the SIM project through funding. To learn more about how to support SIM, you can visit our website. Thank you for your support.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 1013 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 1013 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 1013 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 1013 Jams.
Yeah, it should be okay. But can you hear me, Charles?
Hold on, wait. You're listening to In My Humble Opinion, only on 101.3 Jams.
We live in a society in which structural racism is a very real thing. We are all dealing with that in every aspect of our lives, and the media is a reflection of our community.
Historically, black people have been portrayed a certain way in the media to justify normative assumptions around political and social issues.
More black people behind the cameras, in front of the cameras, more producers, more people of color producing, so they can go and get the content that's needed so they can highlight our attributes.
I've been in this industry for 15 years, and I've seen firsthand how our voices just aren't heard. Even if you're in the newsroom, sometimes you get completely ignored and stereotypes are allowed to perpetuate. And one thing we want to do is combat that, and also bring information to people so they can be as informed as possible when choices are made in the city, so they can do whatever they can to get their voices heard.
What I believe can be done about the situation is to have more people of color creating news stories. More people who have a interest in and a social consciousness that relates to the stories that they're telling.
Charlottesville Tomorrow looks at these issues. We can present them on IMHO. Vinegar Hill Magazine can take that a step further, and just together we can just make this thing that can be an example of how we can change the media landscape, how we can be more inclusive to get these voices in, to get these people heard. That's just one thing that doesn't happen in so many places, and it's a shame.
We think we live in a society that's very progressive, and we're talking about equity and diversity and inclusion and all these things. Still, the way that black people, and I would say, and I would argue, especially black men, are portrayed by the media is incredibly dangerous, and you've seen the sort of tangible violence that it's led to over the past year.
The community can support the SIM project by first and foremost giving us an opportunity. We understand that it can be difficult to give trust right now, especially considering the current social and political environment. But this project will only be as successful as the community allows it to be. And so we ask you to give us the opportunity to do the work, critique the work, and make sure that we stay aligned with the vision. Another way that the community can get behind the SIM project is through engagement. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you're talking about. We want to put your stories out there. And so whether it's reading the articles written by Charlottesville Tomorrow or Vinegar Hill Magazine, or tuning in to In My Humble Opinion on Sundays on 101.3 Jams from noon to 3 p.m., either way, we want you engaged. We want you to be part of this. The community can also support the SIM project through funding. To learn more about how to support SIM, you can visit our website. Thank you for your support.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion, only on 101.3 Jams.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Sir Charles.
Miss Max. We are. Got some reverb. Isn't that what that's called?
Yeah, a little something. But you could be anywhere in the world, but you are here with us, and we for sure appreciate it. And so once again, want to thank y'all for joining us.
For sure.
Always being loyal listeners. So tell a friend though, because we doing it big per usual, Miss Max.
Tell everybody.
That's right. Everybody because IMHO Talk Show is live on the airways for yet another Sunday. We got a job to do, Miss Max. Unfortunately, there is a lot of heaviness right now, just sort of in general. I feel like I know at least around me and within my circumference, there just seems to be a lot of sort of sickness right now, death, unfortunately, whether it's family, friends, what have you. So definitely want to, make sure that we acknowledge that. And I even had somebody tell me the other day, just in a random conversation, it was sort of about just our community right now, and they just said, man, people hurting, people hurting, and that wasn't just an emotional thing. Like we were even having a financial conversation, and I don't think, and maybe we need to do that more, Miss Max. I don't think we talk enough about the economy. And when I say the economy of our people, of our community, right? And, but the thing is, it's like some can manage it better than others.
Yeah.
But really, at the end of the day, it's like the cost of living is out of control. That's not just the Charlottesville problem, right? And it seems to be getting worse.
Yep,
but that's why we
true.
try to be a positive voice. That's why we try to bring in the change makers, so we can, get this thing back on track.
Stay encouraged. We don't want to start the show and pull everybody down. So stay encouraged. Be encouraged.
That's right.
It gets better.
Absolutely.
Persevere.
Absolutely. That's a good word right there. Good word. That's how we wanted to kick this thing off. And so we also, Miss Max, with us right about now. We have Razor is online as well. But we have our friend of the show. Because for those that already been listening, they know that here recently we've been sponsored in part by the Jefferson School Foundation.
Much appreciated.
Because they are highlighting all the great tenants and all the great services that the Jefferson School City Center has for the community. But also right about now, this segment, our brother on the line, is also being sponsored in part by none other than the Black Business Expo.
Okay.
Ty Cooper, can you hear us clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you. You can hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Good.
Of course we hear you, Ty. Your voice, we can pick out your voice loud. Do you get that a lot? Like you always know when Ty talking.
Hey, some people say I talk too much, but it's okay.
That's not what I was saying. It's just a very distinct voice.
A lot of people say it though.
Yeah, a lot of people say it. But hey, if I got something to talk about, I'm gonna talk about it.
There you go.
There you go. A wise man once said, like when you speak, make sure it means something.
And
words matter.
And also a closed mouth don't get fed.
Hey,
very true.
Very true.
Yeah, man. But Ty, so we're gonna let the folks know about the work that you got going on right now. But we're not gonna dive into it just yet. But we want the folks to know that your main reason for being here today and supporting this segment on behalf of the Black Business Expo that you have come known to organize and bring to the community. But this year it's a little nuance, like you added a little different flavor to it. This is going to be a part of our Juneteenth celebration for the city. That's led up by the Jefferson School African American Heritage Center. The Ty Cooper's Black Business Expo will be a part of our Juneteenth celebration. But I want to start it off like this, and Ty, since you are a guest, you can go first, and then Razor, Max, in the order you want. Ty, we would be remiss, because I know you, brother, and I know, our history, and a lot of our history was inspired and centered around the Charlottesville landmark of Mel's Cafe.
Yeah.
So Ty, I want you to just share to the people what Mel has meant to you since your stint here in Charlottesville began.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, I've been in business for 32 years, going on 33 years, and when I first came to Charlottesville, when I came to Charlottesville, I was like, where are the Black-owned restaurants? Like, I wanted to, support a Black-owned restaurant. This was like the very first time I came up here. It was in the 90s, and this guy this woman, pointed me to Mel's Diner. So I was like, all right, cool. So I went to Mel's Diner, got something to eat, and man, and I'm gonna tell you right now, man, he has, he passed away from us with the same exact smile on his face that I saw back then. And that was like, man, how long was that? Like almost 2 decades, I guess, or something like that.
At least.
He's gonna be really missed, man. He was an entrepreneur. He was successful in his own right. And he served everyone.
He was successful.
He served everyone. People, it didn't matter the nationality, ethnicity, or what have you. And people came to Mel's to get food, and food is where we congregate over food. We have discussions over food, come together over food, man. And so he really was, he really was a staple of the community, man. He's gonna be sadly missed. I miss him already, and my heart, like, my heart, you know how you get that feeling when your heart drops to your stomach when you hear bad news? That's exactly what happened. I saw Chris and Seika's post on Facebook, and I was like, no. No, this can't be this. No. Because sometimes you think people are going to live, we know we're not going to live forever, but we always think that people are going to live, like a person like Mel. We think going to live forever almost. And, he just left us too soon, and he left a community behind, and he left family who loved him, and just what it is. There's no replacement of him. I do hope that his family continue the business because his name should continue. Hopefully they do it successfully like he did. But only time will tell.
Big talk. Thank you for that. Razor, Max.
Yeah.
Would you like
Matt,
to share your
you want to go, Max?
Yeah. This was difficult for me, and I'm not from Charlottesville, and I like to think I've been adopted into the community. But Ty was right. Mel was consistent. He was always a friendly person. He always had a smile on his face. No matter when you saw him, he was like very personable. He was a kind person. He cared about, I think I saw a Facebook book post talking about his food. And I don't know about any of you, but as a cook, I think I can refer to myself as that. You can taste the difference in food that has just been thrown together and food prepared by someone who cared about preparing that food. And you got that at Mel's Diner.
Big facts.
And my condolences to the family. He always had a kind word to say to me whenever I went to the restaurant, but I would always get, "Where Ray's at?" Like, it's about me right now. Can I get my 2 pork chops? Ray's is fine. But he will be greatly missed. He certainly can't be replaced. And I lost my dad about a little over a year ago. And the difficult part for me is that when you feel like, at least I do, when a person has done the right thing and been a good person, life repays them at the end. Because I think about the rumors of how the end came for Mel. I don't know what's true and what isn't, but in thinking about my dad, you think it's going to be slow and family's going to be around, and and people that love him will be there, and it'll just be something that we kind of expecting and we can all be a part of, and he knows that he's loved and this, that, and the other. And life don't always deal us that card.
Right.
And so, I don't question God, but condolences to this family. Know that your loved one was adored by the city and beyond, and we appreciate him. Praying for you.
Yes, indeed. Mr. Razor?
Yeah, Ty messed me up, and then Max followed up. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting here with, tears in my eyes thinking about him. My introduction to him was Max sending me over from her old job to go get her regular. You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to describe it.
It is good.
And he was like, "You talking about Max? Why you ain't say so?" And that told me that Max knew his people. It wasn't about the meal. It was about his people and what makes you happy. So then at the time I wasn't into the food trade, but when I got into it, it's easy for people to feel like you're stepping into their lane or you're doing something that, you're not qualified to do. Mel immediately accepted me into the food industry, was an advocate for my business. And every time that him and I was in Sam's Club, Food Line, or anywhere else, that same kind spirit, that same smile y'all were talking about greeted me. When Mel stood in front of you, talking to you, it was almost like he was hugging you in a conversation. So
You felt like you had his undivided attention.
Absolutely. There was nothing else that mattered to him but what you wanted to talk about and how he wanted to support you if he could. And I differ from Ty a little bit when I say this, and I say this the most respectful way. when somebody has done the amount of work that he has done, I think you let that go with them, because society has a way of whatever somebody's good intention is to carry on his legacy, it's not going to be good enough. And then they're going to attach it to his name. So me personally, I would rather see a males 2 as opposed to just the males, just because I know there's no way for you to catch that platform that he stood on.
Gotcha. Thank you, man. Thank you for that.
And you got to do a hell of a job if you do.
I agree with you, Razor. I do agree with you on that. Yeah, I just want his name to still stay on that marquee.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, on
Yeah.
that marquee, even if it's Mel's 2 or whatever the case may be. But yeah. And one thing I want to add before you give your flowers, is that another thing about Mel, man, is that I knew that he was super proud of me, right? Just being a black man.
I felt that way too.
For longevity, and he had longevity, and we both shared that. And I know, because he used to, like, you know, he every time he'd see me, he'd say, "What you got going on now? What you got going on?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I would come in there with posters or flyers sometimes and stuff like that. And even if I didn't, and sometimes I would order something just to order something. I'm not even hungry, but I didn't want to go in his space and ask him to put up a poster and then don't get something. So sometimes, you know, them little cakes that he had, the little pound cakes that he had
right up front on the left-hand side. Yep.
Yeah. I'd grab that if I didn't have time to really get something and sit down and eat and stuff. So yeah, man. So anyway, I just wanted to share that, man. He wasn't a hater, man. He was someone who love other people progress and prosperity. And with Razor, he definitely didn't look at Razor order up as competition. He looked at it as like, yeah, another person who's going to try to make it. And that's how he did stuff like that.
100%.
Appreciate that, y'all. Yeah. Just lastly, you know, what I want to sort of bring up the rear with this is, it, you know, it's sort of jarring. It's sort of you know, wow, like, you know, it's a sort of a spiritual feeling more than an emotional feeling. You know, like, I think it was divine that I had a guest come to town.
Okay.
On Tuesday. And and when I was like, they from out of town, they want to experience local, I'm taking them to Mel. Right now, it just so happened that they had to end up rushing back. And so we didn't have time to get lunch. Right. So just the way that those crossroads of events, those sequence of events happen, is just, you know, like, it's sort of very mind-boggling to me that it kind of played out that way. But the main remembrance that I have as far as giving my flowers is that, you know, like, just the being a good, caring brother. Our sons went to city schools together, and every time it would be, you know, of course, checking, you know, how he would ask, "How am I doing?" But always ask how the family's doing.
Yeah.
And, you know, definitely being inquisitive about, like, what I got going on, what's going on, like, how he can help, right, when it comes to community things. And I think about the mentoring, and I think about how he would give of himself. He would work outside of his normal hours, and he would give, you know, beyond great deals to feed masses of kids, because he knew that was his ministry, right? Like that was his mission. And he cared about the community. He cared about the families. He cared about the youth. So that's my main takeaway. And so, you know, definitely prayers and blessings to the community, all the family and friends. And so IMHO Talk Show to the city of Charlottesville, you know, we still here, still standing, and we're going to carry on the greatness, the legacy that was, you know, already planted as a foundation for us. So let's just take a quick break after that, and we're going to come right back to talk Black Business Expo as part of our Juneteenth celebration this year at the Jefferson School African American Heritage Center with none other than Ty Cooper. Stay tuned, y'all.
We live in a society in which structural racism is a very real thing. We are all dealing with that in every aspect of our lives, and the media is a reflection of our community.
Historically, black people have been portrayed a certain way in the media to justify normative assumptions around political and social issues.
More black people behind the cameras, in front of the cameras, more producers, more people of color producing, so they can go and get the content that's needed so they can highlight our attributes.
I've been in this industry for 15 years, and I've seen firsthand how our voices just aren't heard. Even if you're in the newsroom, sometimes you get completely ignored and stereotypes are allowed to perpetuate. And one thing we want to do is combat that, and also bring information to people so they can be as informed as possible when choices are made in this city, so they can do whatever they can to get their voices heard.
What I believe can be done about the situation is to have more people of color creating news stories, more people who have a interest in and a social consciousness that relates to the stories that they're telling.
Charlottesville Tomorrow looks at these issues. We can present them on IMHO. Vinegar Hill Magazine can take that a step further, and just together we can just make this thing that can be an example of how we can change the media landscape, how we can be more inclusive to get these voices in, to get these people heard. That's just one thing that doesn't happen in so many places, and it's a shame.
We think we live in a society that's very progressive, and we're talking about equity and diversity and inclusion and all these things. Still, the way that black people, and I would say, and I would argue especially black men, are portrayed by the media is incredibly dangerous, and you've seen the sort of tangible violence that it's led to over the past year.
The community can support the SIM project by first and foremost giving us an opportunity. We understand that it can be difficult to give trust right now, especially considering the current social and political environment. But this project will only be as successful as the community allows it to be. And so we ask you to give us the opportunity to do the work, critique the work, and make sure that we stay in line with the vision. Another way that the community can get behind the SIM project is through engagement. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you're talking about. We want to put your stories out there. And so whether it's reading the articles written by Charlottesville Tomorrow or Vinegar Hill Magazine, or tuning in to In My Humble Opinion on Sundays on 101.3 Jams from noon to 3 p.m., either way, we want you engaged. We want you to be part of this. The community can also support the SIM project through funding. To learn more about how to support SIM, you can visit our website. Thank you for your support.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max, Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max, Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
Yeah, buddy. Still in the booth in the building, back like we never left, Sir Charles.
Miss Max.
I guess we give Razor a pass today since he's virtual, so we give him a little pass today.
I couldn't get my phone out my pocket. I'm sorry.
Be ye ready. But yeah, but without further ado, man, we want to appreciate, as always, Ty Cooper supporting and joining us. And always thinking enough of us to want to share what he's doing with us. And thank you for that, for sharing your beautiful thoughts and tributes. But without further ado, Todd, the Black Business Expo 2024, my man. So this year is going down for Juneteenth. June 15th, as being a part of the grander Juneteenth celebration brought to you by the Jefferson School African American Heritage Center. But Ty, sort of give us the the breakdown of that, man. Like why the change? Why the change?
Yeah, but I'm doing this in conjunction with another entity, at UVA, Nathan, his station. Yeah, and we just always try to talk about what can we do to make it better, what can we do to make it different, what can we do to kind of make it more significant. And so we were just kind of bumping our heads together, and then we was thinking okay, well, the farmers market is at the on Saturdays, the farmers market is at the XR Park, and so that means that we would have to start the festival, the expo, late in the afternoon, like around 2-3 o'clock, and that just doesn't really fit to what we were trying to do. So even last year we changed it to a Friday, which was not something I wanted to do, because people have to work on Fridays, but we did it because we didn't want to start in the afternoon. We wanted to start in the morning. We wanted to make sure that the vendors have enough time to be out there to really feel as though they benefit from setting up. Right. If you set up at 3 o'clock, I mean, what's the benefit in that? Yeah. So it just, I wanted them to have more time and more visibility. The year before that, which was great, they moved the market over to the other side of XR Park, and we had the place that we normally have. So we had a cross, I would say like a cross opportunity to cross market and share audiences. So it was really heavily, trafficked. And then but this year they didn't want to move it. Well, last year they really didn't want to move it. So last year we were thinking this year we need to make a change. And I said, well, I want to make sure that it connects with something that is meaningful to the Black community. And then we do Juneteenth. It was like, all right, let's do a Juneteenth celebration. Yeah. And then we were talking about the Jefferson School, how they do such a great event. They had the parade early morning, and the parade, they march or they parade to the Jefferson School. And I was like, that's a prime opportunity. We can do it that way. We could share audiences, and we can provide the celebration, the Juneteenth celebration, with something more than just a celebration. We could add this Black business element to it. And then for us, the celebration could be added to what we do. So I think to me it's a mutually beneficial, arrangement. And we get the best of it. And hey, whatever happens this year, right? Because people are just learning about it. But if it's something that we think that the audience and the market and the people of Charlottesville and surrounding area want, then we'll keep it and we'll do it next year and make it even bigger next year and bring more people and build it up even more. But I think it's a good opportunity to really partner with the Jefferson School African American Heritage Center, because I love Andrea anyway. We've been close friends for a long time, and Leslie as well and stuff. So I'm excited about it.
Hey, Charles.
Yes, indeed.
Hey, I know Ty is my real friend, right? Because when your friends around, you always looking to make jokes. So when Ty was saying, how can we make it bigger? How can we make it grander? I was like, how can we make it blacker?
Exactly. And it's funny you say that because right now I'm actually looking for, because I have not locked in all of the panelists yet. Because what I normally would do is because I'm a guy of promoting diversity, right? I'm like the diversity guy, quote unquote. Everything I do is about promoting diversity, bringing people together so people can enjoy one another, people can be introduced to their respective cultures. But I really want to have more I want this to be dominated. I want the panelists to be dominated Black. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
And
of course.
Yeah. So I'm looking for that now. I'm looking for even more people. We got a lot of people who's like out of town. It's just when you go into that early summertime, about to be summer, school is out, so people going on vacationing. So I'm having a little issue with that right now because I'm trying to get more people. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have to do what I normally would do by mixing it up. And I don't mind mixing it up. I just want more. It's a Juneteenth celebration. I want more Black business people to be on the panels.
Yeah. And Ray, thank you for bringing that up, Razor, and then Ty for elaborating on it as well, because we're gonna keep it a buck, Ty. When you come on here, we're gonna keep it a buck. And so like I do want your take on that, because a lot of what gets celebrated at the Jefferson School African American Heritage Center and a lot of their events, they are big on that. They are big on it being properly represented. I even know like the parade that morning, right? All participants, and this is out of the mouth of Leslie, all participants have to be Black, because it's about Black people and their culture. And so the spotlight being on them, right? And so I'm curious, like being that they do take a stance on things like that, how has that affected your planning when it comes to more of the optics, right? And making sure that this being a part of a Juneteenth celebration holds its integrity?
Yeah, no, it hasn't, because for the Black Business Expo, this is the 8th year. All of the vendors, all the businesses have to be Black. It's always been like that from day one. The only non-vendors that you may see out there are like a sponsor or a nonprofit organization. City Apartments hasn't, but CIC, but CIC serve a lot of the Black community. United Way is a sponsor. They serve a lot of the Black community. So those are like nonprofit organizations and sponsors. But every vendor have always had to be Black. It was I never played around with that part of it. The only really blend or diversity was on the panel, because for me, what's most important to present on a panel when it comes down to a business panel, I'm not talking about like a fashion panel or something, like a business panel is all about the information. So I always looked at whomever had that information, someone who have scaled their business to where they are dealing with Boeing. God, I've had engineers on there before, right, who deal with Boeing, as far as aircrafts and all these other different entities. It's about the information, so people can learn from that information. So I make sure I always blend it, where I have Black, Latino, Hispanic, white, Guatemalan, you know what I'm saying? And I say Asian. So I have mixed it up over the years. So it hasn't changed my approach to it, because I always had that anyway. It's just that I always was all about like really mixing up the panels so that different industries can be represented. So if I can't find a Black person in a certain industry who can speak about how do you become a vendor of Boeing? How can Boeing contract with you? How do you scale that business to do with someone like that? If a person is Asian or white and could speak to that, I think that's valuable information for a prospective business person who's in the audience to get that information. But as far as with this one here, because it's Juneteenth, I'm definitely more on like, let's load it up with Black people if I can find them, if people are available, and let's represent hardcore that way, particularly for this one, because of what it stands for now, because it's Juneteenth. But it wasn't a thing where I changed it because of Jefferson School. I changed because of it being Juneteenth.
And that's key. Like that's key. And I'm glad you said that about if you can't find like the Black person to fill that spot, because, and I say that again, not only because that's key, for you and the representation, but that's key for our people to hear. And Miss Max, and I'll kick it to you, because a lot of times we complain about other people stepping in and doing things, but then I have to ask where you be at.
Right.
Why you complaining about somebody getting work done? Where you be?
You have to prove it to me. Look.
I love that. That's good. I'm gonna use it too. I'm gonna use that.
So I first heard about the Black Business Expo being a part of the Jefferson Center Juneteenth celebration through Leslie, who was a guest on the show a few weeks ago. And I think it's a wonderful partnership. And I know you said that if this event goes well, feedback is good, then you'll continue to make it a component of the Juneteenth celebration.
As long as they want us as well, because
I would almost say it ought to be a part of it for what that's worth. It ought to be a part of it. I think that's it would be a great benefit to the community. But the other thing I wanted to say, as I hear your passion talking about the event and the significance of Black-owned businesses, and I think I guess I want to just hear a little bit more about that, only because I think when you first created Roots here in Charlottesville, your business was less focused, or at least people perceived that it was less focused on the Black or minority community. And that has changed over the years. And yeah, that's noticeably changed over the years. And so I'm curious to know your priorities as far as how your work contributes to that of the Black small business, Black community, Black-owned small businesses. And I guess what your goals are for that.
Okay, yeah. So let me give you a little history, because that's a little inaccurate, and not in a horrible way, nothing like that. But I'm gonna give you a little bit of history. My company, I started my company in 1993 when I was at my third year at Norfolk State University. So my market was all Black. Always Black. When I came to Charlottesville, it was still Black. I did junkyard band. I bought backyard band to Charlottesville. I bought junkyard band to Charlottesville. We bought the celebrity basketball games to Charlottesville. That was all like Black, targeted events. The one thing that wasn't Black when I moved up to Charlottesville, a year before I moved up to Charlottesville, that I opened up a dry cleaners, and we had 3 dry cleaners in Charlottesville, and that was how I was introduced to a non-Black audience, because the majority of my customers were non-Black, were white for the most part. Came to the dry cleaning. We had the eco-friendly dry cleaners. We had 3 of them, one on Main Street, which is how I started to really truly get to know people who were outside of my target audience when it came down to me bringing events to Charlottesville, and that was in 2008 when I opened up that cleaners. And I still kept on doing the events per se, the junkyard. I mean, not junkyard, excuse me. I still kept doing some stuff. I did gospel shows. We did a whole bunch of stuff that was targeting Black. But as I began to develop those relationships within the dry cleaners, my clients, so I had professors coming from UVA. I had people from municipalities such as, the city of Charlottesville, Office of Economic Development, and, in Albemarle. So I started kind of growing my relationships outside of just the Black community, and which was a great thing. And so it was, I remember when board members from the Paramount Theater would come to my dry cleaners and ask me, hey, are you interested in being on the board of the Paramount Theater? And I heard what happened. I heard I learned the history of the Paramount, and I turned them down multiple times. Because I was like, well, I don't know how Black people view the Paramount Theater. And I was on the side of that, right? I was on the side of like our people. But pressure burst pipes, right? And persistence. So they kept coming to me, kept coming. And I think in 2010, 2 years, as I was building my relationships with people here in Charlottesville, I said to them, yeah, I joined. Because so then when I got on the board of the Paramount, they were doing, what the Paramount does at that time. And then I said, I was like, well, I complained. I complained to the whole entire board about the manager and the marketing person at that time. And I said to them, I said, look, this is the Paramount Theater. We asked for tax forgiveness from the city. That money where we asking for tax forgiveness can be fixing up low-income neighborhoods. It could money that we are asking not to pay could be going to a group of people who we are not marketing, we're not targeting. I said, so if we, in our mission statement, if we call ourselves a community theater, We have to represent the communities, all of the communities. Now, if you want to just celebrate, if you want to just cater to the white hair and white people, then that's fine. But don't call ourselves a community theater.
Right.
So I got into this riff, and then I said, you know what? I'm gonna show you how to do it. So what I did is that I moved my event, which was the step and dance competition, from the Performing Arts Center at Charlottesville High School. I moved that event where I was getting my friend Hardy Edwards, God bless, R.I.P. She gave me that building for free 2 years in a row because she wanted me to bring that event to that location, and I did that, right? And I did it for a while. Well, I was getting it for free, or the most I was getting had to pay was $500. I gave a $500 contribution basically to the city of schools, so I still got the building. And then also I was doing a comedy show, so I brought those events to the Paramount Theater to show how to promote diversity, how to celebrate Black, Asian, or non-white historical events. So for me, it was about educating the market, educating the Paramount Theater to what step is. People didn't know what step was. They had no clue what is step. And I had to educate them. It came from Africa and blah, 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 blah. So then I bought that event to where instead of me paying $0 or either $500 at the Jefferson, not at the Performing Arts Center, and getting almost 1,100 people in there, I took it event from there to prove a point to help represent my people, Black people, at the Paramount Theater. And then at that time, my bill was $12,000 to the Paramount Theater. But see, no one knows that. They don't understand that Ty Cooper, to stand for Black people, to show Black culture, I paid $12,000 opposed to paying $0 or either $500. The most I paid was $500 at the Performing Arts Center.
Yeah. So Tyler, let me interject for time's sake as well. Is that possible? And I want to make sure that we close out with the critical information that's going on for the Expo too. But in a town like Charlottesville, what I hear you saying is, being that the majority is what it is, the old money is what it is. My question is, when we, don't take charge of opportunities, whether that be for lack of effort or that be lack of capital, do you feel like that Charlottesville is a place to where we can have those spaces, like where we can have Black funded and Black patronized spaces? Or do you feel like that it always has to be integrated, so to speak?
No, it doesn't always have to be integrated, but it's just that when I look at what I'm big on, I'm a filmmaker, right? As well. I own a marketing and branding company. For me, I think it's really important to introduce people to your culture so that they can see you in a different light, so they can see our people in a different light, so opportunities can present themselves. Those, like the people like some of the artists the dancers, right, who used to dance on the stage of the Paramount for me at my event, they never touched the Paramount stage. They never touched a big stage like that. Like, you got these young Black kids, young Latino kids who are on these step teams, who are part of it, like elite dance group, with the Banks, with the Banks family, Shauna, and them. They never seen the inside the Paramount. Many of them did, right? So my goal for real is provide platform to people. Now, can we have only Black spaces? Yes, of course. Look at the Black Professional Network, which you are running right now. You guys bring people together all the time in different restaurants at different locations to celebrate one another, right? So definitely that could definitely exist. I'm just big on understanding that we have 70-something% white, 18% Black, 5% Hispanic in this town, and then others. Why would we want to just keep it so tight to where we don't introduce it to other people to experience and then enjoy it? Just like Tom Tom Festival, right? Now you got people at Tom Tom Festival, but like I was working with Paul at Tom Tom Festival from the very first one.
I'm gonna have to be back about that time, because I got some opinions on that.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure. But what I'm saying is not about Tom Tom. What I'm saying is about when I see all the black people, man, on the mall, on the downtown mall where they traditionally do not go to congregate like that, I'm looking at that whole space. I'm like, yo, this is dope.
Yeah, for sure. So Ty, so the folks know we are talking about the Charlottesville Albemarle Black Business Expo Saturday, June 15th from 9 to 3, and it's part of Charlottesville's 2024 Juneteenth celebration at the Jefferson School African American Heritage Center. It's free and open to everyone to attend. But on the website, Ty, on blackbusinessexpo.org, you have where folks can register to be a vendor, where they can register for the business pitch contest, and they can email you with any questions, right?
Yep. So we have a great lineup, man, and it's very similar to the other years, but we have the vendor booths open at 9 a.m. on that Saturday, June 15th, as you stated, and then we have 3 panels. So we have a panel on marketing, so marketing to separate from the competition, and then at 11 o'clock they have the Juneteenth welcome. Libertation and Negro National Anthem. So all that's being that's happening at 11. Then 11:30, the Emancipation concert is at 11:30. So we have entertainment, which we always used to have entertainment in the previous venue as well. Then we have raising money to sustain your business panel, and then we have the should you scale your business, and trying to figure out when the timing is right. And that's at 12:45. So we have like space in between each one, so people could kind of like bounce back and forth and not really stuck at one area of the event. And then at 1:45, we're giving out $1,000 to the best business pitch competition. So someone who can pitch their business idea in 3 minutes or less, then they win $1,000 to the best one. So it's gonna be judged as usual. So I mean, it's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty good event, man. And they can go to, as you stated, Charles, they can go to blackbusinessexpo.org and get more information about that and register as well. And we still have a few more spaces left for vendors too, and it's free.
Okay, that's
It's
right.
not a money grab. That's what I'm saying. It's never been a money grab. It's all about providing the platform for businesses, just like I try to provide a platform for artists.
Got you. Appreciate that. Good info, Ty Cooper, man. Thanks once again for what you do, and because we all play a part. Everybody plays a part to the greater body. So man, so we look forward to seeing you out there, Ty. Till next time.
And I'm glad to see Max in the studio, because the last few times I've been there, Max has not been.
Look, give me a hard time about that. I'm here now.
That's right. What's going on? And Razor, and I wanted to say something too. I always try to give my flowers to you guys too. I want to say, Razor, are you there?
You know I'm here.
Well, I don't really know that. Sometimes you kind of tune out. Sometimes
you like run your mouth too much. I'm here.
Hey, so, now I want to say big up to you guys, man. To order up, man. Y'all doing some big things. Doing the stuff at UVA, man. It's not easy to be a vendor at UVA when it comes down to concessions. That's a big order. Well, it's order up. It's name of your business, so I guess you got to live up to it. But but it's not easy, man. Like people don't know what really goes into it. So I'm hoping that at some point you guys can interview yourselves to really talk about what goes into that kind of business. And I want one of you to be on the business panel, one of the business panels too, because you actually have scaled your business. And I think that you can really speak on the scaling panel on when the timing is right, how to scale it. So I'm putting you guys on the spot, either you or Max, to be able to come in and really like join that panel for me on the June 15th to talk about that, because people need to see that and understand how to do it, because it's not easy to do that. You got to have your money right. You got to have food. You got to have ample food, ample supplies. And you got to give discounts, because I'm sure the UVA is getting in your pockets.
Yeah. Hey, Ty, real talk, for me to be up there and talk, people, it wouldn't be fair to the people, because unless they have somebody supporting you and able to tell you when you're wrong and tell you when you're right, like I have Max, it's not going to be the same outcome. So I think she is the perfect person.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying I think she's the perfect person for the panel, because a lot of times we look at it from a male's point of view of what, even when it's a female, about what needs to be done to make things happen. We don't see all of the person that fills in all the cracks, the person that doesn't get appreciated or get their flowers. We see the one that's out in front of the limelight, but we don't see the one that actually makes
I
things
think you're
work.
trying to get some bonus points.
Yeah,
That's good.
Hey, you know what?
Y'all
Hey, you know
playing
what?
this.
Matter of fact, y'all be quiet. Max, you get the last word and take us to break, because on that note, Razor done gave Max her flowers. I think we need to be quiet and give the mic.
Well, before you do that, let me know. Are you available June 15th? Or are you gonna?
Yeah, we can connect after the interview if that's okay.
Yeah, I'll be on the truck. We're doing the food for there.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
no
see?
brainer then. Bring the kids. Bring the kids.
All right. Thank you, Ty, for sharing your Sunday with us as
No doubt.
usual. Family here at IMHO, and best of luck on your event.
I appreciate you. Thank
Talk
you,
soon.
guys. Thanks, Charles.
Yes, sir.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
.org or at BeenAroundTattoos.com.
We live in a society in which structural racism is a very real thing. We are all dealing with that in every aspect of our lives, and the media is a reflection of our community.
Historically, black people have been portrayed a certain way in the media to justify normative assumptions around political and social issues.
More black people behind the cameras, in front of the cameras, more producers, more people of color producing, so they can go and get the content that's needed so they can highlight our attributes.
I've been in this industry for 15 years, and I've seen firsthand how our voices just aren't heard. Even if you're in the newsroom, sometimes you get completely ignored and stereotypes are allowed to perpetuate. And one thing we want to do is combat that, and also bring information to people so they can be as informed as possible when choices are made in this city, so they can do whatever they can to get their voices heard.
What I believe can be done about the situation is to have more people of color creating news stories, more people who have a interest in and a social consciousness that relates to the stories that they're telling.
Charlottesville Tomorrow looks at these issues. We can present them on IMHO. Vinegar Hill Magazine can take that a step further, and just together we can just make this thing that can be an example of how we can change the media landscape, how we can be more inclusive to get these voices in, to get these people heard. That's just one thing that doesn't happen in so many places, and it's a shame.
We think we live in a society that's very progressive, and we're talking about equity and diversity and inclusion and all these things. Still, the way that black people, and I would say, and I would argue, especially black men, are portrayed by the media is incredibly dangerous, and you've seen the sort of tangible violence that it's led to over the past year.
The community can support the SIM project by first and foremost giving us an opportunity. We understand that it can be difficult to give trust right now, especially considering the current social and political environment. But this project will only be as successful as the community allows it to be. And so we ask you to give us the opportunity to do the work, critique the work, and make sure that we stay aligned with the vision. Another way that the community can get behind the SIM project is through engagement. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you're talking about. We want to put your stories out there. And so whether it's reading the articles written by Charlottesville Tomorrow or Vinegar Hill Magazine, or tuning in to In My Humble Opinion on Sundays on 101.3 Jams from noon to 3 p.m., either way, we want you engaged. We want you to be part of this. The community can also support the SIM project through funding. To learn more about how to support SIM, you can visit our website. Thank you for your support.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max, Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Sir Charles, Miss Max, Razor, somewhere out there in the ether.
Nah, I was ready this time. See how you do me?
Oh, my bad. My bad, Razor. I stole your shine, huh? But you know, it's all good. It's all good because we back like we never left. We got a jam-packed show, and we're gonna get through it because so much going on, so many headlines that's worthy of being touched on. But you know how we uplift our community. We take Charlottesville to the world, bring the world to Charlottesville. Max is only IMHO can do, and by doing that, one thing that we do and that we're gonna do right about now is to highlight some good brothers, to highlight a historic organization that we have in our myths, right? And that organization is being represented.
Tell about it.
It's being represented by none other than my brothers Ravel Brown and my brother Mike Terry. The brothers from the Kappa, the Charlottesville, Virginia alumni chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated.
Yeah,
I had to get it right.
You're right.
I was right. I had to get it right. So, so one thing I love, and like one thing brother Mike Terry and I, joke about a lot is that we're actually line brothers. Max, did you know that?
I did
It's
not.
my line brother.
I did not. Okay.
But not my Kappa line brother.
Okay.
It's my mentoring line brother with another international organization, the 100 Black Men of Central Virginia.
Okay.
See, Max, when you get
all connected.
When you get frats and sorrows and folks in brotherhoods and sisterhoods together, like you kind of pump your chest out a little bit. You bang on that chest a little bit, Mike Terry.
That's right.
But we're not here to talk about all that. We're here to talk about the Kappas.
But it's important to let it be known.
That's right. That's right.
There you go.
So thank y'all for joining us, brother Brown, brother Terry. So you all have a big event coming up that's going to be raising money for your youth initiatives, and to continue the great work that you all are doing. And so it's the Linen Party at the Morven. So it says, come join the Noops on the farm. Talking about Morven Farm, June 15th, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Tickets and reserved seating is available at eventbrite.com. Colorful linen attire, DJ by none other than our brother Max, Mix Squad DJ, DJW.
Okay.
Right. So But before we get into that, y'all, and the details of that fundraising, it sounds like just a grand time. A big ball, and y'all can find this on our webpage as well, y'all. But first, break it down for us, y'all. Break it down when it comes to the Kappas, the Cville Kappas, right? Tell us a little bit about the org, a little bit about the frat, for those who may know it's a fraternity but may not know some of the background about being a Kappa. What is it to be a Kappa man?
Well, being a Kappa man means that you have a lot of pride.
Okay.
First of all.
That's right. You hear that confidence, man?
I heard it.
It's
coming through. It's coming through.
Yeah. And Kappa Alpha Psi was founded on January 5th, 1911 at Indiana University. And what's distinct about that is that it was founded by undergraduate African-American students. The first time in the history of this country was a Black fraternity founded by undergraduate students. Currently, we have over 150,000 members worldwide, and there are 700 undergraduate and alumni chapters.
Okay.
So, and our main focus is to really make the community better. We try to make it better with a lot of different programs that we have. One of our main programs is called Guide Right, and that's where we focus on the youth in the community.
Okay.
And we do things such as mentoring the youth, providing them with opportunities that provide positive activities for them. Anything that we can do that will increase the value of the community is what we try to do through Kappa Alpha Psi.
Love it. Love it. Brother Brown, anything to add to that?
Hey, I think Brother Terry summed it up real well. Well, please note, that we were talking a little earlier when we got here, Brother Michael Terry, is one of the original founders of the Charlottesville Alumni Chapter.
Okay, Brother Terry.
Being in his presence and learning from Brother Terry is really inspiring. Now, during my time in the chapter, especially Charlottesville Alumni Chapter, I've learned a lot from him. So even working on this event here, just his guidance through this event has been really inspirational.
Yeah. That is awesome. So being in Charlottesville, give us a little background on that. So when this chapter was started, when the Charlottesville chapter was started, why did you see the need for a Charlottesville chapter? With I know you list sort of the mission and the vision of the Kappas, but sort of why Charlottesville, right?
Well, Charlottesville Alumni was founded on April 5th, 1975. And at that time, because there wasn't a chapter here, we couldn't get together and conduct some of those activities that I spoke about, such as Guide Right, raise money for scholarships, mentoring students and things of that nature. And as I also mentioned before, we are an international organization. We have chapters all around the world, South Africa, Japan, Germany, places like that, and throughout the United States. So it's an ever-expanding organization. We don't just stop at one location. We continue to provide our services wherever we are. And as I indicated, in 1975, there wasn't a chapter here, and we saw where we could fill the niche for providing those services to the community.
Gotcha.
How many members did you start out with?
Great question. We started out with 9 members.
Okay.
And over the years, we've sort of averaged about 12 to 13 members. But currently, thank goodness, we have some younger brothers coming in, and we're up to 22 members right now.
Nice. And is that just guys in the community who are Kappas, or does that include like a UVA chapter?
You know that you're on the ball. You have the right questions here. We actually have a combination of all.
Okay.
UVA does have a chapter, but it's an independent chapter of the Charlottesville alumni. They are an undergraduate chapter, and they operate independently of us, even though we are their advisors, so to speak. But we try to do everything we can, as mentioned earlier, to get out there into the community, to make ourselves visible, and to do things that will help this community. I can't overemphasize that enough.
Yes, indeed. I've seen it. So to the crux of why we're here, Ms. Max, the linen party at the Morven, right? So go ahead and break that down for us. Whoever would like. How did this idea come about? As far as you all, deciding to do this linen party at the Morven, on behalf of the Kappas to benefit your youth and scholarship initiatives. Is this, maybe start with, is this something that's done by chapters nationwide, or is this something that Cville has created?
Right. So good question. So the Richmond Alumni Chapter actually does a big event each year, the same event, linen party in Richmond. So we kind of mimic from that. They have over 200 people that attend that event every year, and I go to it every year. So I saw the amount of people that comes to that event. So I met with our members here and said, hey, let's try to do something similar here in Charlottesville. I think we'd be very successful. So I met with the committee, and the brothers said, hey, let's do it. Let's do it. And plus, we hadn't done a fundraiser of this magnitude in a while.
Okay.
So we decided, hey, let's try it and see how it turns out.
Yeah. That's big. Now is it, and with these type of events, is this something that the brothers from Richmond or other places usually come in and support as well?
Yes, we all support each other nationwide.
All right. Awesome. Good.
And everybody's welcome. They just need to come dressed in the linen.
That's it.
Okay.
I'm dressed. Might be hot that day. So put the linen on and come out.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, it
might shimmy that day.
Yes, and so as they said, the tickets are available right now on Eventbrite, and you can go to IMHO Talk Show social media as well to see that flyer and scan that QR code, and all that good stuff. But tell us a little more about the event and what people can expect. Sort of give us the lowdown. Maybe Brother Terry, as far as like why should somebody spend their hard-earned money to come out here to support the Kappas mission? That's what we need to know. Program.
Well, any money earned is hard earned, in my opinion. But you want to redirect your money to a good cause. And as we indicated earlier, the money that we're trying to raise is going to be recycled back into the community through student scholarships. We've been very fortunate to have certain community groups to sponsor scholarships for us. For instance, the NAACP is a sponsor. The Division of Equity and Inclusion at UVA is a sponsor. Millennium Security is a sponsor. So this year, we've had great community input from different organizations. The 100 Black Men, don't let me forget them. Hey. They are also sponsoring this event for us. So what you're doing is indirectly helping the community. When you put the money into this event, we redirect that money to students. Right. So you can say that your hard-earned money is being put to a good cause when you support this event that we have.
Yes, indeed.
What can you share with us about the scholarships?
Absolutely. What we do is contact guidance counselors at the area high schools. Those high schools are Albemarle High School, Western Albemarle High School, Monticello High School, Charlottesville High School. And then to sort of get back to what Charles was asking earlier about our membership, we have members in our local chapter who are from Richmond, from Stanton, And so because we do have a member from Stanton, we offer a scholarship to Stanton High School. Once we had a member from Harrisonburg, and we were offering a scholarship to Harrisonburg High School. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
So you were asking me about
the scholarships.
Yeah. All right. So what we try to do is based on the available funds, we try to divide that up equally amongst those high schools. We try to make the application process as seamless and as less stressful as we possibly can. So what we do is allow students to fill out the scholarship online. We've gotten modern and we're using online applications now. The main weight of the scholarship is focused on an essay that the students write. And they have to indicate to us how they would use the scholarship and how the scholarship will benefit them. Once we get that information and we sit down with a committee, and we sit down with a score sheet and we grade everybody according to the same rubrics and everything. And we decide on who's going to get the scholarship. Fortunately, we've been able to award a scholarship to everyone who applied this year. We had 4 students to apply, and they each will get a $1,000 scholarship. In the past, we've had more applicants than we've had scholarships. But what we've done is to give them an honorarium of at least $100 for their efforts to go to college, because a lot of the students that we're focusing on are first generation students, students who are the first in their family to actually go to college. So because of that effort and that drive and determination, we want to show them our appreciation and support them in any way we can.
Is there more incentive if you are a descendant of a Kappa?
Good question. Now, for the descendants of Kappas, what we do, we have a separate fund that we as brothers go in our pockets and we fund it. We do not want to take money from any of the kids in the neighborhood by directing any of that money to our descendants, as you said. So we do have a separate scholarship. It's called the Lucian Carter Scholarship Fund. Lucian was a member of our organization. But that's money that we as brothers fund ourselves, and we do not use any of the community money for that.
And this is not scholarships that are just for boys, right? Boys and girls, right?
Great question. You're correct. This year, as I said, we have 4 applicants who applied. 2 were male, 2 were female. And so we'll be giving out 2 scholarships to males this year and 2 to females. And this is not the first year. We've been giving scholarships to females since the 1980s. One was a lady, she went to Albemarle High School. She has since gone to Johns Hopkins, and she's one of the top physicians up there. And so she was one of the first females that we gave.
Y'all helped to make that happen, huh?
Well, we feel like we are part of it.
Right.
What little bit it is, we are part of it.
It all matters. So back to Charles's question about the actual event. So we can expect music and drinks and food. Yeah.
It is. Yes, we're going to have a combination of all of those things, plus good company. That's the most important thing. What we're trying to do is to make this our signature event, where each year we want people to be asking, well, when are the Kappas going to have their linen party? So as Brother Brown indicated, this is our first one, and we want it to be the best in this community thus far. So yes, there will be dancing, there will be music, there will be food, and we will have vendors around who will have certain
bow ties. We have a cigar vendor that we coming out.
Oh, nice.
So we'll try to do it right.
And it's going to be a great atmosphere. It's going to be at the Morven Farm, which is located in Albemarle County. And we're going to have tents in case there's a little bit of rain coming down. So we're going to have this rain or shine.
So it's an outdoor event.
It's an outdoor event, but there's an indoor facility as well. So it's going to be a combination of indoor, outdoor.
That's important.
And if a person gets hot or something wants to go inside, it's air conditioned. Inside Morven, there's a theater where we'll have slideshows going that will answer questions about our organization.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's going to be a great environment. And we encourage people who, just out of curiosity, come and see what's going on. And I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Nice. We are talking about the London Party at the Morven, put on by the Cville Kappas to benefit their youth and scholarship initiatives. And so general admission, $55, VIP table with champagne, $500. You didn't mention the champagne, Mike. Champagne, $540. Table with top shelf bottle. Max, top shelf bottle.
Okay.
$590. So yeah, this is a great time. But so lastly, Mike, you know I'm an active fool. So for folks that want to just support in general, right? Like maybe they want to just donate, or they may want to learn more. How do they get in touch with you all?
Well, we have a website. It's called Charlottesville Kappas 1911 at gmail.com, or just go online and Google Charlottesville, Virginia Kappas, and you will get to our website by doing that particular search.
Okay. Good stuff. Thank y'all for the work you do. And lastly, and you can answer this however you want to answer it. How does one become a Kappa? Now, I ain't talking about, like initiation and stuff, but if somebody's interested, whether they be incoming college student or, I don't know, like if they are an adult, but they're like, man, I really respect those brothers. I would love to be a part of that. How does one become a Kappa man?
Right. So we have what we call an MTA process.
Okay.
We have what's called interest meeting, where individuals can come out and just learn about our organization.
Okay.
Then from that MTA process, if you are selected, then you can become a Kappa.
Okay.
There's a fee, of course, associated that you have to pay. So it's about a brotherhood. So you want to be a part of a brotherhood, no matter if it's the Kappas, the Alphas, the Omegas, the Sigmas. We're all the brothers here.
I like that.
That's what we like about it. We all commingle. We support each other's events. So, but if you want to become a Kappa, the best organization in the world, find a brother, and we can learn about the MTA process. It's a very strenuous process, but it's a very enjoyable. You learn a lot. And you meet a lot of good brothers. I know I've been in the bond for over 20 some years. And I've met a lot of good brothers. It's a good networking source. So come join.
Yes, indeed. Appreciate that. Yes, indeed. You know where else that it's a culmination of all the brothers, the 100 Black men of Central Virginia. You got every frat represented. But I ain't gonna steal y'all shine. But make sure family y'all support.
No, I just got to ask another question, because I am not a member of a sorority, but folks know that certain fraternities and sororities are for a certain type of individual. So if you had to describe what a Kappa man is, what the characteristics, personality traits, or whatever, I'm gonna let you answer that.
Okay. Well, first of all, in our Constitution that was written in 1911, we cannot discriminate based on anything.
Okay.
Race, creed, color, or anything. So a Kappa man is someone who wants to achieve, someone who wants to come in and do something good for the community, and someone who's willing to put forth the effort that's needed to make the community better. So if you want to be a Kappa, then you have to be willing to work for the community.
Okay. I like
Fair
that.
enough. Yep.
That's perfect. That's perfect right there. So family, we have been joined by none other than Kappa brothers Michael Terry and Ravel Brown. And so make sure y'all support. And like I said, in our comment section, you'll see more information about the event and how you can get your tickets and further support. Brothers, continue success and keep up the great work.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you allowing us to come. And we're looking forward to having a great event. So come out if you want to have a good time. Kappas are willing to show you a good time.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen.
Support for this station today is coming from Martin Hardware, your local hometown hardware headquarters since 1893. At Martin, you'll find hardware, painting, and plumbing supplies, plus lighting and electrical goods. Whether you're just hanging some shelves or putting an addition on your home, Martin has what you need for the job, along with a staff of hardware veterans if you need some help. Martin Hardware can be found at 940.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max, Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max, Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max, Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max, Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max, Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
Hold on, wait. You're listening to In My Humble Opinion, only on 101.3 Jams.
Yes. I am HO to the talk show. Sir Charles.
Max.
Razor.
That's right. And we still here for y'all people, bringing the world to Cville, taking Cville to the world. So like we always do about this time, we're going to continue to give you that good info, to continue to edutain. And so I'm delighted to be joined right now, Miss Max and Razor, by the good folks doing great work over there at none other than Abundant Life Ministries. And so, they want to give them some shine as far as to get people more familiar with the organization, with the mission. So we have two great representatives with us right now, and they have, I know it's a couple of events coming up, before the year is over as well, where the community as a whole, the greater community, can also show support to that organization. But gentlemen, thank you all for joining us. How you all doing today?
Doing good. Thank you so much for having us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
And so we are joined by none other than Mr. Travis Watson and Mr. Michael Guthrie.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed.
Appreciate you guys having us for sure.
For sure. So let's go ahead and start, and so that people can get a little familiar with you. As far as just let us know your role with Abundant Life, and we'll hear from each of you, and then we'll ask some questions.
Yeah. So again, thanks for having us. I'm actually on the board of directors for Abundant Life. Have been in that capacity for a little over 6 years. And before that, I worked with my good friend Richard Firo with the 5th through 8th graders, kind of the old guy in the group.
Okay.
We'd go play basketball or dodgeball, and then once we stopped to have a little dinner and kind of talk about life a little bit, that's kind of when I got into the mix on it. The other guys kind of took the spotlight away from me on the basketball and the dodgeball course, but I was able to hold my own in the conversation with the kids, and just trying to give them some different perspectives, and a lot going on over there. I know we're going to talk about that, but we're grateful to have Travis back in the area doing what he's doing.
Speaking of sports,
3-on-3 deal and that kind of thing. But
is that why you got that ice pack on your knee?
Yeah,
right there? Basketball.
Travis back you
This is actually a wiffle ball injury.
Oh,
I was playing wiffle ball with my 9-year-old grandson, and I can't move quite as well as I used to. But anyway, Travis and I reconnected, and I kind of pulled him back into has lived in that neighborhood, loves that neighborhood, and pulled him back in with Eddie Howard, and grateful to have him back involved with us.
Yeah, that is awesome. Because y'all see, as I peruse the website and whatnot, you have a lot of familiar faces, a lot of familiar names to the community. Those community connections are always so important, which, as you said, kind of alluded to Travis, being a UVA baller and coming back to the community. So what brought you back here, and what's your involvement with Abundant Life now?
Well, I have my own nonprofit called Legacy Driven.
Okay. Closer for me.
I got my own nonprofit called Legacy Driven.
Okay.
And so since I've been back, like I said, I've ended up reconnecting with Mike Guthrie and Eddie Howard, and just doing things, for the community, and especially since I've been in school too. So it's been fun since I've been back, been able to collaborate with them on some things, and looking forward to the future.
Yes, indeed, man. Thank you for that. So, but I'm curious. I have to ask, because I know the great mentoring that you do. I saw you over at CHS. Lending a hand, and so the work that you do through Legacy and everything. Like, how did you mesh that with Abundant Life? Like, what makes that work together? As far as in your goal.
My goals is to teach the kids leadership. Also the soft skills that apply to life. A lot of, basketball is the vessel, but life is bigger than basketball. And so, me watching them grow over the years, and, I felt that we can, do a lot of special things together, and they opened me with a lot of, big arms, and been excited ever since.
Yeah, that is awesome. That's awesome. So when we talk about Abundant Life now, Mike, and, being the summer of 2024, like, what is at sort of top of the list, like when it comes to fulfilling the mission and the vision of Abundant Life, for folks who want to learn more about it right now? What is the ministry up to? What is it about?
Yeah, I think the thing that's really exciting about the ministry, it's been around for over 25 years. In fact, my church, Trinity Presbyterian, was a church that really spearheaded the ministry getting started in the first place. And I actually lived in the neighborhood back in the day on Orangedale Avenue, just down the street. 400 years before he lived in it. So it's a neighborhood near and dear. But I think the thing that's most exciting about the community is the fact that it's becoming more about the community. It's not. We've always been invested in the community, but I feel like over the last couple of years, especially with people like Eddie and Faith and Bruce and Dom and all these guys who have had involvements in the community, live there. I think there's I always talk about building rapport, gaining credibility, and showing people you care.
And I think that those results are beginning to happen, not only in the community, but like the Fifeville Neighborhood Association, which is a really strong, is now sort of involved with us, communicating with us communicating with them as to what's better for the whole footprint. You know, there's this really great Cherry Avenue master plan thing going on right now. And we've been brought into that. UVA Health is now a really strong partner at Abundant Life. Every other week they do free clinics at our property there on Prospect Avenue. They bring food. They teach folks how to cook nutritionally, and having UVA Health now involved in all UVA pipelines and pathways. You know, and then a lot of more churches are finding out about us and saying, "Hey, I want to help make a difference." And so you talked about events. I think it's August 10th. In Ix Park, we're having this thing called the Gospel Explosion. And, you know, it's a great example of when something crummy happens, something good comes out of it. And that, you know, Martin Luther King, we always do a big celebration that day at Buford Middle. And we had, you know, freak snow right when we were starting. So the crowds were small. Had a gospel band. It came up, I think, from Virginia Beach. And we had just not a good crowd. But they were so gracious and said, "Hey, when can we come again? We want to do this again. And we'll bring some other bands with us."
Okay.
So that's how this August 10th thing came out of, awesome. You know, disappointment at Martin Luther King Day, but now turning it into a really cool community event down there in Ix Park on August 10th.
That is awesome. You know, and let's take a couple steps back real quick, Ms. Max, as well, because for those who don't know, like, so you told them about the mission, the vision, but let's talk about who you serve, right? Because you're located off of Prospect neighborhood. So tell us about that location and as far as what your reach is when it comes to who you serve.
Yeah, I mean, it really is about that community, although we are beginning to, like with Fifeville Neighborhood Association, that the footprint's always been, but we've always been part of Fifeville Neighborhood Association, but it's always felt a little bit separate. And so that's really our main focus is Prospect, Orangedale, Greenstone, and really investing in the kids, tutoring the kids, doing financial literacy for the folks that want to really kind of begin to figure out financing. Right across the street, there are 5 of the duplexes that were just bought through a community land trust, and 3 of them have already closed, and all 3 are people that live in that neighborhood, so they now own something right there in the community. A couple out of Greenstone, I think 1 out of the Prospect neighborhood, and we've got, I think, 2 more that will close, and you know they're right across the street, and feel like, hey, I'm on the Monopoly board for the first time. I'm going to start collecting $200 every time I, you know, cross go. But so our community is that, but we also want to be open armed and be more involved with folks like Yolanda Harrell at New Hill, and involved with them in regards to what they're doing as far as, you know, teaching people how to cook and that kind of thing. We're want to be more involved with City of Promise. They're doing amazing things over on 10th and Page. There's no reason why that we can't do some partnership there, right? But really, our main focus is right there. We have 2 houses right on Prospect Avenue that we own. We own some land right behind it that goes down to where the Habitat for Humanity homes were built, and we're hoping to do something pretty special back there. Again, with Fifeville being involved in it, and we're not quite sure what that's going to look like yet. We're just in the start of it, but we feel like we can do a 3-level deal there with the topography and it be a drawing place for kids and for adults in their community.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about the work that you do, because essentially what you're doing in the community is no different than what Charles and I do when we come to the radio show. And that's just trying to, as Charles puts it, edutain people, which both educate them and entertain them. But it's to create a better community. It's to create a better people. It's to help build bridges. It's to help people to build a better quality of life, which is not easy work, right? And there are a lot of organizations locally and individuals who are in this line of business, but aren't having big effects in that area. It's something that I truly believe you have to be committed. Your heart has to be in it. You got to be committed to it, right? So yeah, I wanted to say that it's just as far as how tall of an order this type of work is, if you're truly seeking to be effective. And not just that, but we're also dealing with the community and people who the community is disjointed for several different reasons. People are dealing with a lot of different issues in their life, right? Whether we're talking about income or health or families having issues and different
Mistrust,
things like that,
mistrust.
crime, violence, all that stuff, right? And so, yeah, I don't necessarily have a question for you here, but I'm hoping that you can speak more about the work, right? Yes, you're right. People do have to be able to buy in and trust what it is that you're doing. And it's also hard to compete with a lot of the different challenges that they're faced with in their life. You can pull a group of kids in and play basketball with them for an hour, but ultimately they go back home and they deal with all those same situations and issues. And what you tried to pour in for that hour, that 60 minutes while you had them, gets counteracted when they go. So it's difficult work. It's hard work. And so that's what I'm hoping that we can talk more about here is the impact and the work that you're really, really doing in the community to be effective at your mission.
You just jump into your whole thought process in regards to relationship building, through what you're doing. And then I'll kind of practically apply that in regards to what we're trying to do, because I think that's really the key, is to build the relationships so that folks think, okay, these folks really do care about me. They're not just here for a one and done type of deal.
Building a purpose. It's like, as you're saying, it's just trying to, show them that everything comes, finding that purpose, building that confidence. And, especially as he's, as Abundant Life been in the community, given the opportunity and the assets and the resources. I'm a child, still, have a mother and everything. So I've come from a single family home.
Okay.
I watched my mom use these type of resources all her life. So it's been in me kind of to try to, still do my thing, but also give back to the community to try to see, like, it's still examples out there that, that hopefully the purpose that you can believe in.
Right.
And that's what I found in Abundant Life since I've been, watching. And I do believe in what they're doing, especially myself from, being 20 years professional overseas and stuff like that, and a different approach and trying to add together. So,
Yeah. And Michael, but before you go, Travis, I appreciate you sharing that. I think that's crucial, because I'm curious, like when you're out there working, because I know from my work with kids, like sometimes they'll check you. Right. right.
You think?
Right.
I've had that experience, but at the same time, as we say, the resume speaks for itself.
Right.
I can tell them I have a degree. I can show them the degree. I can tell them that I've done this or I've led this, and I can actually show them, because now the kids are different. They want receipts.
Yeah, for sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say in a receipt, and I appreciate that, but the receipt I was thinking more of is for you to show that you understand their struggle, for you to say, we have more in common than you thought.
Yes. No, absolutely. And I think that's how, some kids find me relatable.
Yeah.
Because I do try to, not get to their level, but let them understand that, hey man, I went home hungry sometimes, or had to figure out where I was going to eat or get that next meal from. So it's a lot of conversation you can have within that setting of being in the gym, meet new friends, or even the, the mentor, the person that you work with that, might get you over that hump.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you. Michael, what you want to add on?
Yeah, I think what Travis is talking about, just me watching him and going and watching him do his thing. One of the things I think that's so important is the accountability part of it. The kids say, "Hey, I really want to be really good at this, but are you willing to put the time in to do the work?" And Travis saying to them, "Look, it's up to you. I'm going to be here at 6 o'clock. Are you going to be here or not? And are you going to have done what I told you to do before you get there, so that you come in here and we're in the same place? That's just not going to fly, for me. And then, from a practical application, as far as Abundant Life is concerned, one, bringing folks in like Travis and Don Morris, who's, the vice chair of the school council, Charlottesville School Board, bringing him in on staff, and Bruce Bowling working with the kids, and Richard Firo and Angel and these folks who every day are building those relationships, building that trust. And then somebody like myself coming in, not as often because of my commitments and stuff, but because I'm walking in with Travis because I'm walking in with Bruce,
Mm-hmm.
the kids go, okay, well, if he's a friend of theirs, then I can, try to be a friend of his as well. But
Right.
I think one of the turnkeys was during COVID, as we came back out of COVID and trying to get the kids back in school.
Mm-hmm.
And the city school bus didn't have enough bus drivers.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't get the kids to school.
Mm-hmm.
And in where we're serving, a lot of parents are off going to work at 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, and they couldn't drive the kids to school or whatever. And Eddie and the group took our vans that we had, our resources, and we said, okay, how do we get these kids to school?
Right.
And we had volunteers and staff driving these vans and those kids wouldn't have gone to school. They would have just stayed home because they didn't have any way of getting there. And so, kind of putting our mouth where money where our mouth is in that situation, saying, school is important. Travis saying, I got a degree. Yeah, I played professionally and had a good career, but I also have my career, my degree. And I'm now in a position where I can do things that I wouldn't have been able to do if I couldn't have done that. Right. And then the other thing that is happening that I'm excited about is somebody like Don Morris. Again, he's very much involved in the trades, the vocational scenario. So we've just launched a program this year where we're introducing kids 5th, 6th, 7th grade into different types of trade work, carpentry, plumbing, whatever. And that's one of the things I get excited about with Yolanda and what they're doing as far as the, I always get the word wrong, the Cuisinary, is that right? Anyway, kitchen, cooking, that kind of stuff.
Culinary.
Culinary. There you go. But, introducing kids to those things now so that they don't get to 11th grade or 12th grade and say, I don't want to go to college, or maybe I don't have the grades to go to college. They've already made a decision. They're going to make a lot of money, doing plumbing. They're going to make a lot of money doing this. And it's not I have to do this because I'm not going to do this. It's something that, hey, I can make more money doing this than I can ever make going to college, getting a degree, and using that in a different way. And so trying to, and then again, on the adult side, trying to get the parents and the guardians to understand, let's get your financial house in order.
Okay.
So that you're not just always living in a debt situation. Right. And then
so you
they
do
that, and then the kids see that, and equity starts being built, and I forget.
Is there a huge response to that when you try to? I mean, I imagine you have to engage the parent on multi levels, but as far as the work that you're doing with their kid, and then trying to give them financial literacy and different things like that, are you having much buy-in?
As far as numbers, no, not as many as we'd like. But as far as success, yes, the people that buy into it are committed to it, are going through it, and it's one success at a time. And what we try to do is create these opportunities while the kids are in the 5-8 group, or with the which is the guys group, or with the girls 5th grade. We're doing that fun at the same time, right? So that the kids are being taken care of, so the parents can be doing something to take care of themselves.
Right, exactly. So
I have a question.
The line. Yeah, go ahead, Razor.
Do y'all also help the kids develop bank accounts?
Like start a bank account? Do you help kids start a bank account, their own personal checking account?
Yeah. So again, in the financial literacy scenario, there's the what I call the ripple effect of the parents starting to do this and paying off, debt and getting themselves in a position to be able to buy a house, and then the discussion then comes to the parent of helping their kids learn the same thing that they learned, right?
I don't think I asked it right. I'm sorry, sir.
And then the other thing we have is what's called Strive. Once they come out of 8th grade, we have individuals in the community commit to these kids, not just in high school, but for a year after high school. So they make a 5-year one-on-one commitment with these kids. So they've got somebody walking alongside them and just being a different voice in their head, right? Than maybe they're hearing at school or even at home, for that matter.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't think I said it right. I was wondering because I love the work that y'all are doing. But I also understand that the community that it sounds like you're helping is at a deficit in learning certain things. So I would say there's certain banks in Charlottesville that cater to children starting their actual bank accounts. So learning the lesson is one thing. Actually implementing it is something else. So I would just say, like, maybe y'all want to look into Okay, as you complete the programs and you're doing good work, let's see you start a bank account so that you actually know how to use money as a tool and not letting it enslave you, because that's what tends to happen in these communities.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by Michael and Travis, representing Abundant Life Ministries, and we are sort of up against the hour, but if there's a lot more, then we can continue after the break. But I know lastly, what I had was, I know it's a Christian-based organization, faith-based organization. How does that play a part? Does that just drive the mission and the values, or does that play a role in the people that you serve, or is I guess like your faith also shared with the citizens, or is that totally separate?
Yeah, the way I'd answer that is we absolutely are a faith-based organization, and we're not afraid to lay our claim to that. But at the same time, about a year and a half ago, we did a community survey and really asked the community what was it that they wanted from Abundant Life. And so we've tried to initiate a lot of those things. And one of the things we've been doing are the UVA health clinics, and they're for everybody. You don't have to have any belief if you don't want to. You just got to come, and you're going to be welcome. We have 2 or 3, 4 community events every year where for several hours we're cooking food and people are coming and they're playing cornhole and whatever. We're trying to bring chief of police and his folks there so that they can build relationships with kids and see that they're there to make friendships as well. Again, UVA Pipelines and Pathways is always there. And so, yes, we stand on the fact that we're a faith-based organization, but everything that we do, every program is open to anybody that wants to be a part of it. And, quite honestly, the other side of that is there's some city/grant money, not just city, but grant money that maybe we won't get the opportunity to get because we are faith-based. But I think, quite honestly, in some situations, that really is changing because of, again, like I talked about with the bus situation, that we became an integral factor in getting kids to school. One of the things that has been part of our program forever is tutoring, both at Jackson Via and at Johnson. The tutoring that we have going on, once or twice a week for these kids, where folks come in and really help the kids figure out, whether it's spelling or math or whatever, and people see that, and it's not just for somebody who might say that they're a particular faith. It's for anybody that wants to come and be a part of it. It's a really very, very welcoming place.
Okay, awesome. Ms. Max?
I did have one question. Do we need to go to break? Okay. So what I haven't heard much about is our older teenagers, 16, 17, 18. And those are the ones that, unfortunately, we're losing a lot of them to a bunch of distractions, right? Whether it be drugs or gangs or violence, just you name it. Do you have many within that age group participating in your program, and what are you doing to try to get them more engaged?
You've probably had conversations with Eddie about this. Why don't you talk, and then I'll try to fill in behind you.
I mean, I talk at all age ranges.
Okay.
So, for me, like I say, I just started last year, since I've come back. And so, I started with that age range because I felt it was more important, for the kids before they get the peer pressure. And so since I've been back and, working with them and just seeing an eye, everything takes time. So that's kind of like the next move. But I've seen other organizations do such things, for that particular age group at the moment. So, it's just growing. I'm growing and, trying to grow and, and build those right relationships and bridge gaps.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is a really good question. And what we hope is that the kids who come through our 5-8 program, they continue on, and that's where the Strive program comes in. That starts freshman high school, goes through 1 year after college. But most of those kids most of the people that are committing to doing that are committing to do it with the kids who have been in the 5-8 group. And so, I don't think it's a bit harder for us. Bruce Bowling could probably speak to this better than I could, but it's a bit harder for us to engage those kids in that scenario because of just the space that we have. Now, if what we do with this community center or whatever it is that we build behind our property, I think that could change.
Mhm.
You know, I think that it can be a place where the teenage kids would want to hang out
Mhm.
because we've got the right kinds of things going on there. But, you know, I think I would guess that what we're leaning on in that situation is one, that people gravitate toward it because of the 5/8 group and want to be involved in Strive and have that opportunity. And they do things like taking kids on college trips just to
Mhm.
see campuses
Mhm.
and look and see what they may never have been out of the city before, and
Mhm.
to see a college campus and whatever, go, whoa, that's something I would like to
Mhm.
do.
Yeah.
But then I think they also look to organizations like Young Life, which is a non-denominational Christian organization in Charlottesville.
Mhm.
I was actually the first area director of that back in 1976.
Okay.
And they're involved in not only the high schools, but in the middle schools as well.
Mhm.
They call the middle school program the Wildlife
Okay.
program. And anybody that's working with 7th, 8th graders, man, I think
Yeah. Parents came
oh
up with
my
that
gosh.
name.
That, as a parent, having 3 go through that
Yeah.
age group, it is just it's
Yeah.
a nightmare. Which is kind of humorous because all of them think the spotlight's on them.
Mhm.
But I try to tell my kids, the spotlight can't be on you because every other kid thinks the spotlight's on them.
Mhm.
But at that age, they just don't get it. And so I
Mhm.
think we try to partner with, folks like Young Life and make sure our kids are being handed off.
Mhm.
One of the things that you said earlier that I think is really important is there are a lot of really great organizations in Charlottesville, but in many ways, and I don't think it's as much this way anymore, but they were all siloed. They were all doing their own thing. And when their thing ended,
Mhm.
there wasn't a handoff.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think over the last few years, there's been a better
Yeah.
working
You
through
need
some
that.
different organizations like
Mhm.
City of Promise, like Abundant Life, like United Way, the university. A lot of different groups came together and said, okay,
Mhm.
how do we hand those pre-K kids into the elementary school age, and
Mhm.
how do we hand the elementary school kids off to, that kind of thing,
Mhm.
because that's not our deal. The
Mhm.
Boys and Girls
Right.
Club, I
Right.
think that only goes for the most part through Boys and Girls and Big
Yeah.
Brothers
Yeah.
and
I'm
Big
not
Sisters,
sure.
right?
I'm not sure.
I think they pretty much only in middle school as well, and
Mhm.
then you get the older kids to maybe come in and be like counselors or high
Mentors.
school
Mhm.
mentors to them,
Mhm.
which I think is a great thing as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A wrap around. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you. This has been very in depth.
Mhm.
Abundant Life Ministries, ladies and gentlemen, and the link is in our comment section where you can learn more. The events they have coming up, how they serve the community. If you want to support, you want to volunteer, looks like some employment opportunities, all that kind of stuff. So so definitely charlottesvilleabundantlife.org. Michael and Travis, any last words for the community?
Oh, I
Appreciate
encourage you to come out. I mean, it's still a couple months away, but I encourage you to come out to the Gospel Explosion. It's going to be great music, and but it's really going to be just a really cool community time. There'll be a lot of, if you want to get to know more about these different organizations that I've talked about, they're going to have tables and information and that kind of thing. And, there's going to be food, and it's just going to be a great, summer afternoon, I guess, really right before kids go back to school. If it's August 10th,
Mhm. Mhm.
especially out in the outlying areas.
Yeah.
You're pretty much getting ready to go back to school at that point. So we can make it the last summer bash type of opportunity.
That's right. And if folks are interested in talking to you, Michael, or they may be intrigued by you, Travis, and your approach, can they? You want to give your contact, or should they go through the main email?
You can find me at _legacy-driven_.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, and with me, you can certainly go to the Abundant Life website, and my information's in there as a board member. But quite honestly, it'd be better to reach out to Eddie, to Bruce, to Faith. All these folks are day to day in the midst of it, and from the practical application of things, they're the ones that can really answer the questions for you.
Awesome. Sounds great. Ms.
All
Mack.
right. Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. We appreciate you, and thank you for what you're doing for the Charlottesville community.
We live in a society in which structural racism is a very real thing. We are all dealing with that in every aspect of our lives, and the media is a reflection of our community.
Historically, black people have been portrayed a certain way in the media to justify normative assumptions around political and social issues.
More black people behind the cameras, in front of the cameras, more producers, more people of color producing, so they can go and get the content that's needed so they can highlight our attributes.
I've been in this industry for 15 years, and I've seen firsthand how our voices just aren't heard. Even if you're in the newsroom, sometimes you get completely ignored and stereotypes are allowed to perpetuate. And one thing we want to do is combat that and also bring information to people so they can be as informed as possible when choices are made in the city, so they can do whatever they can to get their voices heard.
What I believe can be done about the situation is to have more people of color creating news stories. More people who have a interest in and a social consciousness that relates to the stories that they're telling.
Charlottesville Tomorrow looks at these issues. We can present them on IMHO. Vinegar Hill Magazine can take that a step further, and just together we can just make this thing that can be an example of how we can change the media landscape, how we can be more inclusive to get these voices in, to get these people heard. That's just one thing that doesn't happen in so many places, and it's a shame.
We think we live in a society that's very progressive, and we're talking about equity and diversity and inclusion and all these things. Still, the way that black people, and I would say, and I would argue especially black men, are portrayed by the media is incredibly dangerous, and you've seen the sort of tangible violence that it's led to over the past year.
The community can support the SIM project by first and foremost giving us an opportunity. We understand that it can be difficult to give trust right now, especially considering the current social and political environment. But this project will only be as successful as the community allows it to be. And so we ask you to give us the opportunity to do the work, critique the work, and make sure that we stay aligned with the vision. Another way that the community can get behind the SIM project is through engagement. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you're talking about. We want to put your stories out there. And so whether it's reading the articles written by Charlottesville Tomorrow or Vinegar Hill Magazine, or tuning in to In My Humble Opinion on Sundays on 101.3 Jams from noon to 3 p.m., either way, we want you engaged. We want you to be part of this. The community can also support the SIM project through funding. To learn more about how to support SIM, you can visit our website. Thank you for your support.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max, Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max, Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
HO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
HO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
HO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
Hold on, wait. You're listening to In My Humble Opinion, only on 101.3 Jams.
It's the questions.
You said it.
And it's been a minute.
It's been moment.
Am I introducing this one?
Sure you can. I mean,
okay.
Unless you really want me to.
No.
Then I can.
Feel free to. Oh, Razor's here.
Razor's in the building. I mean, it's been so long, like I'm pretty sure I used to kick it off. Everybody used to say something crazy and then used to make sense of it all. That's how we used to do it.
Okay.
Who's the somebody say something crazy?
I'm sorry, did I say that out loud?
I feel like I'm being talked about in my own face.
School resource officers.
Okay, Max, let's get into it. Y'all playing.
Hot button topic. Definitely one that the Charlottesville School Board, students, parents alike are discussing. How do we feel about them? Do we want to have school resource officers back in our local high school?
Razor, should I kick it to you because you may, since you online, since you virtual, maybe
I
can.
I think that we should have school resource officers for the simple fact that people don't raise their kids. The fights that our children are showing around, like they kept World Star going. I mean, children getting hurt, teachers getting hurt, principals getting fired because your children are unruly and somebody got to be the fall guy. I mean, what do you want? Like, I mean, essentially, you're unraising them to go to prison and jail anyway. So they might as well get used to protocol anyhow.
Well, there it is.
Razor, I mean, should the studio artists clap for that? Yes, because it's our humble opinion.
Yeah.
So before y'all email IMHO Talk Show, email Razor.
I ain't reading it.
Because it's and y'all can chime in, please do, because we always appreciate that, good or bad.
Yeah.
The feedback. As long as you're listening, that's all that matters, right? So I guess it's my go. Since this is Ask Max.
I think so.
She don't want to bring it home.
You're it.
All right. So school resource officers. First, let's say that. Class, repeat after me. Resource officers. And the reason that I say that is because in this week's city school board meeting, as well as just in general conversation, and in any conversation, Max and Razor, like y'all know that words matter. Enunciation even matters. Context matters. So as with most debates, things will be phrased and framed in a way to prove your point. Like we all been in arguments, debate, whatever you want to call it. And we all know that when you want to make a point, you use certain words, use certain temperament even to make sure that your point is getting across. I say that because a school resource officer plays many roles. We had former chief of police. We had Dr. Rochelle Brackney on that long ago, and she even broke that thing down in ways that I wasn't really informed about before. So I bring that up because that makes a difference in whether or not they're in the schools. What exactly are they doing? Because do I agree with there being, and Razor, I would pose this to you as well. Would you be okay if your child, your black son, had to go into a hostile environment because it was militarized? Because if there was an armed police officer and pretty much intimidating your child, right? I don't think any of us want that.
Absolutely so. I would much rather have an armed guard in there. If I feel that I have taught my children that somebody's there for order is intimidating, that's the first problem. Now, then that starts at home. Now, if there's no officer there, and my child, because he doesn't live in the neighborhood and he's an outcast, has to walk around, can't go to the cafeteria at certain times because he doesn't want to get jumped, can't say something to girls because it's only him. Nah, man, that ain't no way to live. That's how parents and people over 18 end up at the schools having problems with unruly kids. that when they see, they don't care that that's an adult, they're going to talk to them like it's another child. And then everybody chimes in to talk about how wrong something is and doesn't look at the root of the problem.
I feel you totally. So my take on that, like my spin on that though, would be, I feel like that a school resource officer plays many roles. I don't agree. My humble opinion, you know, that the listener is asking Max's question, should we have SROs? My thing is, I feel like that when it's time to go into any like enforcement, any restraining that needs to be done to debunk a situation, I feel like then having that resource in your school is a benefit. But my whole thing is, I don't believe, Max, that our children need to constantly be in an environment where they feel like that they're in a military zone. But I do feel like that they need to know that this is a part of the staff and faculty. That's really, when I walk in this building, I shouldn't feel any different whether I see this SRO versus if I see the principal or I see a teacher, I see a custodial worker, because they're here for the better, for my education. They're here to make sure that this is a safe environment. But I should find solace in knowing that if something about to jump off, somebody will think twice because this resource is here at the building. Now, also, and I don't even disagree with people who say, well, they should be on the perimeters or they should be this place and that place, right? I mean, if we can work that out, I don't really have a dog in that fight. But I do feel like that the safety is number one, and I think that, and I believe there's examples of those being implemented in the schools to where the kids do not feel like that they got to worry about being profiled. Right. They don't have to worry about feeling like that they are like being watched about the law. Like there's so much talk that goes into it about people saying, okay, like, but then they're gonna start profiling based on something that a family member did or something that happened in your community. Now they're watching their kid at school. Of course, we would have to cut those type of things off. Make sure those type of things don't happen. But another piece I'll mention, Max, is the funding. People talk about the funding, saying the money should be going towards other resources and whatnot. While I understand that, like me, I'm the kind of person, I think y'all heard me mention it before. I'm never the type, this makes me think about taxes even. I'm never the type to be like, well, if you want something paid for, you got to raise taxes. No, that's not always the case. Sometimes it's about budgeting, right? Sometimes it's about earmarking. And so I feel like there's, like we should be able to chew gum and walk at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
Well,
just because some school needs funding doesn't mean that you can't fund more than one thing.
Charles, can I ask you a question? May I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If what you said is the case, I believe you're looking at the school resource officers as issue one. I look at it as issue two. Issue one is the individuals. I'm sorry. And when I say this is somebody who is an ex-con. All right. What I'm saying is you need to eliminate the children who are not there for education. You cannot give a pass for 50 years because your daddy on drugs in prison, your mama out here on drugs hoeing. This ain't, you don't get a pass to act how you want to act.
Too late.
For 1,000 years and put everybody else walking on eggshells and then look to blame somebody else instead of looking at the real problem.
I feel you, bro.
Can't do that.
I feel you. And lastly, last thing I'll say on my take, and I'll kick it over to Max, is that I believe this is last, unless I remember something else, Max. But people with all these situations, we're talking about our children. We should be listening to the children. I agree with that 100%. When adults are around talking, has anybody asked the children? So from my viewpoint, when I've gone to school board meetings, parent-teacher conferences, whatever it may be, and when there's students there, the Black students who are there, to your point, Razor, to learn and not to bring a fight to school, not to bring outside issues into the school building, they are pretty damn stern.
That they want resource
the Black children that I've seen speak up, and for anybody gets any kind of prejudice in their mind, it includes some Black children who are in the inner city, who are in neighborhoods and whatnot, that some people fear that this type of resource would be profiled, right? Some of them are like, I'm here for school. I'm here to learn. I'm here to play sports. I'm here to, see my friends. I ain't here for the trouble. If they here to cause trouble, they need to be dealt with. They need to be out of the school. They need to go to whatever other resource is gonna, of course, help them. Right. So we're hearing this now. Lastly, what you see happen as the reaction to that, sometimes some of our white allies in particular feel like that they have the data and the research, and a lot of times we know that guilt, that guilt that we talk about kicks in, and they're overly sensitive. And when I hear black families, black parents even say, no, the badass kids need to be dealt with like badass kids.
Yeah.
And then it's like you have some people who think that they're doing right. I feel like their heart is in the right place. They're like, oh, but no, we can't police black people because that makes me feel bad.
Yeah.
But when you have black people saying, we want our kids to be safe too, and we want this to be in a positive and nurturing environment, then listen to them, people. Our allies, listen to us.
Hey, Charles, you know what else that makes me kick that before Max goes is that we have also, God, I'm gonna get in trouble for this. All right, whoo. All right, here we go.
Oh,
we have a group of people who are opportunists. Some are there for the right reasons. Others that are there to get money from the city to say, hey, I'm here to help you young black youth. Give me some money and I'm gonna be a counselor for them. Ain't counseling S. You know what I'm saying? Walking with them, having them shoot a basketball around, having them do little things is not counseling people. It is a scheme. I don't care who get mad to get money. It's an avenue that they can say, hey, we here to help. They here to help their pockets. And the data will show that because they ain't doing nothing. And if you think I'm talking about you, ask me and I tell you.
Is this why I played a disclaimer? Should I play
now, yeah, that burns me up, man, that you would take advantage of a child. I put that along the lines of like people that take advantage of small kids. I put it at that level.
Okay. All right. Well, this is the Ask Max. So, Ms. Max,
right.
What say ye?
So, in listening to the two of you talk, I think the first thing that needs to be agreed upon is what type of learning environment we want, right? And I think that we all agree that we want a safe learning environment where our pupils, our students can thrive, where they feel safe, where they feel empowered, where they can be educated, where they feel that is inclusive, that feels actually like a student body and not disjointed or fragmented. And whatever else we come up with. But I think that we all first need to get on the same page about that and then backscale as to how we accomplish that. One of the things that you mentioned a little while ago, Charles, made me think, who writes the job description for the resource officer? Because I did a Google search to see exactly what they were responsible for, but who gets to write that job description? Because that alone will help to debunk or diffuse a lot of angst that people are having about these individuals being in our schools. I disagree with placing SROs in our schools to make a specific group of individuals feel comfortable around individuals that are different than them. Okay. I believe that it is possible, although a delicate balance, to implement SROs into our schools in a way where it does not feel militarized, in a way where our students can feel like they are a friend, they are a confidant, they are, whatever, someone, a trusted person. It's a delicate balance, but I think that it is possible. Let's be honest. We are living in a different time, right? And in a time where SROs are almost necessary because, heaven forbid, if some crazy walk up into your child's school and with bad intentions, tell me who you want to be there. Right? I mean, it's almost necessary at this time. And if I'm lying, then go to your local favorite news, go to your favorite news outlet and look up the statistics, Google the statistics or what have you, as to these different type of things happening and whether or not there was or wasn't someone assigned to that school who could have responded to that situation, right? It's almost necessary.
What about the teachers packing?
I don't believe in
Is
that.
that an alternative?
I don't believe in that.
No, I don't believe in that neither.
I also don't believe in hiring these people or these bringing in these volunteers to do a job that I emphatically believe that they are not equipped to do. So you want JoJo from down the street to come into the schools to volunteer to make sure that people don't fight. That sounds like a liability to me. I don't know about all of you, but there's a lot of room for error there. It should be someone who is professionally trained to be able to, mitigate these type of situations.
Right.
And so, yes, I do. Now, let me also say that I believe in the schools having resource officers, especially if it's necessary.
Okay.
When people was fighting for fun, I don't care. You're saying it was the issues at home that caused it, or issues amongst friends that caused it, or they woke up on the wrong side of the bed that caused it. It doesn't matter. Like, if a school needs that type of thing, like, we should be more concerned with the health and safety of everyone than to choose to not place someone in that school, right? Because my fear, with as much fighting that was going on over the school year, was that someone was going to get seriously hurt, right? We jumping off of desks and tables, and we throwing computers, and we hitting people with broomsticks and things like that. That could have turned out very, very bad. And it did, but fortunately not as bad as it could have. But at that time, yes, the school resource officers put them at the door. And anybody who can't behave accordingly, then they need to have other options, right?
So, Ms. Max, can I interject? Or you
Yep.
want to finish?
I think that's it for the most part.
So I want to elaborate a little bit on that, Ms. Max. So then that takes us to the argument about this thing of where do you allot the resources? And when we say resource, where do you allot the funding? Because to your point, one of the arguments that I heard at the school board meeting was the problems could be headed off. So people see officers in the school as more of a reactionary thing, and like at that point it's too late. So what about the point of view of, if we put some family resources, if we put some mental health resources for for everybody, if we fund making sure that kids aren't coming to school hungry, like all those things. So do you feel like that is a better answer?
So let's be honest, there's room for improvement in funding those different type of resources, but we are already funding those resources, and those things aren't working, at least not to the level that we need them to. And sometimes additional support is required, SROs, you know what I'm saying? So, and as far as just funding that position in schools, period, I think Charlottesville, when something is a priority, is possibility, you know? So I don't think that funding should be used as the excuse here. I think where the attention needs to be is, how do we do this in a way where it is impactful, where we get the optimal outcome, right? You can't throw this thing together, and you have to make sure that it's done with the best interests of the students at heart.
Right. Number one.
And it needs to be closely managed and maintained. And it needs to be done the individuals involved have to be willing to manage that in a way where when it isn't working, we are swiftly to correct it and redirect. Right?
Yeah. Hey, Max.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
We're not talking about the elephant in the room, too. Like, all right, Charlottesville has an abundance of private schools. The people who have the resources, the money, and are really making the decisions really don't care. They just don't want it spilling over into their neighborhoods or their life. What they do is they take their children and they pull them out of public education. And it's so many private schools around here that's what they do. That's y'all problem over there, you know. And everybody was so excited because football season was bad and basketball season was good and the city rallied behind it. But that's the way we saw it. I sincerely believe in my heart of hearts that there's a large group of people that still see us as entertainment.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Of course.
So wait a minute. So I'm getting back to you. I'm getting back to what you said about the money being there. So if the city can allocate for an event to take a whole week and we put money into it, or we do all these other things where we throw money into it, why would you not put money into the high school that has your city's name on it?
No, I agree with that.
Good point.
But the people, like, we agree with it, but the people that make the decisions and cut the checks, they ain't never in those rooms. It don't take that long to get something done.
Yeah, and Razor
that's what we're doing right now. We calling out.
Yeah, and we making decisions right now. But the reason, I know this will be another conversation. So I'm gonna kick it to Max soon to take us home. Not home, but close this one out. But Razor, to your point too, is like that also makes me wonder. I think about this a lot. Like when you do have community pride, or like when you have generations that went to a school, or you really do want to rep for your city, but you get to that point and you're like, but my kid would be so much safer. My kid would be so much more nurtured. My kid would get more looks for his collegiate career or her collegiate career. So the sad part is when you're faced with that. And you're like, I don't want to go to this private school. But when I compare apples and oranges, it's very, very intriguing.
Right.
Like that's a thought that is like an internal debate that a lot of us have had to have.
Yeah.
And something else that when I talk about this being a delicate balance, like I don't believe in putting an SRO in our schools. I guess I'm saying that it's hard to take the police out of police, right? So I don't believe in putting an SRO in our schools who's going to be hopped off of, we're going to lock some people up. We're going to make this, whatever this is going on in schools, I'm going to put it into it, any little thing, I'm on it, yada, yada, yada. No, I don't. That's the wrong person for the job. Wrong person for the job.
Yeah. Then you got to suspend the kids. That's the problem. And stop giving them opportunities. I'm sorry.
Well, and I think that the approach that the interim principal has had the past several months is proof of that, right? We lost control and kids seem to be running the school for a long time there. And when there was some order and some expectation and consequences, and it baffles me how adults still disagreed with that because something had to be done. It almost sounded like they just didn't want anything to be done. Right. But when those things were put in place, we got change. Right. And so
tough love. Right.
And so, the SROs, I would say, aren't the only answer to the issue that we're dealing with. Right. It's certainly a group effort, and structure like that needs to remain. And in theory, if it remains, then this SRO is just wasting his time or her time day in and day out, right? Because the faculty and staff are on these type of issues and handling them appropriately.
Better to have it and not need it.
There you go.
Yeah.
But lastly, what I'll say though, like
they'll be the first ones you point your finger to.
First ones.
When there's a serious situation.
Yeah, but I do want to shout out and show some love too, though, to the good people who have been putting in hard work and the kids' education and well-being is
no doubt.
Work. Because there's a bunch of y'all out there, whether it's you that's staying after school, you teaching night school, whether you're counseling and mentoring,
right?
Shout y'all out. Couldn't do it without you. You are appreciated. You definitely are appreciated.
Right.
Ms.
True
Max.
that. True that.
Spare the rod, spoil the child.
Hey.
All right.
You get thrown in jail nowadays for that, Razor.
Hey, jail ain't that
Can't do that
bad.
no more.
Just get there early so you can get a bottom bump.
All right, let's go to break. All right, we'll be back.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max, Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 101.3 Jams.
We live in a society in which structural racism is a very real thing. We are all dealing with that in every aspect of our lives, and the media is a reflection of our community.
Historically, black people have been portrayed a certain way in the media to justify normative assumptions around political and social issues.
More black people behind the cameras, in front of the cameras, more producers, more people of color producing, so they can go and get the content that's needed so they can highlight our attributes.
I've been in this industry for 15 years, and I've seen firsthand how our voices just aren't heard. Even if you're in the newsroom, sometimes you get completely ignored and stereotypes are allowed to perpetuate. And one thing we want to do is combat that and also bring information to people so they can be as informed as possible when choices are made in this city, so they can do whatever they can to get their voices heard.
What I believe can be done about the situation is to have more people of color creating news stories, more people who have a interest in and a social consciousness that relates to the stories that they're telling.
Charlottesville Tomorrow looks at these issues. We can present them on IMHO. Vinegar Hill Magazine can take that a step further, and just together we can just make this thing that can be an example of how we can change the media landscape, how we can be more inclusive to get these voices in, to get these people heard. That's just one thing that doesn't happen in so many places, and it's a shame.
We think we live in a society that's very progressive, and we're talking about equity and diversity and inclusion and all these things. Still, the way that black people, and I would say, and I would argue especially black men, are portrayed by the media is incredibly dangerous, and you've seen the sort of tangible violence that it's led to over the past year.
The community can support the SIM project by first and foremost giving us an opportunity. We understand that it can be difficult to give trust right now, especially considering the current social and political environment. But this project will only be as successful as the community allows it to be. And so we ask you to give us the opportunity to do the work, critique the work, and make sure that we stay in line with the vision. Another way that the community can get behind the SIM project is through engagement. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you're talking about. We want to put your stories out there. And so whether it's reading the articles written by Charlottesville Tomorrow or Vinegar Hill Magazine, or tuning into In My Humble Opinion on Sundays on 101.3 Jams from noon to 3 p.m., either way, We want you engaged. We want you to be part of this. The community can also support the SIM project through funding. To learn more about how to support SIM, you can visit our website. Thank you for your support.
Charlottesville.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max, Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 101.3 Jams.
Walking Viking.
All right. So for those who've been loyal listeners, y'all know that Max ain't the only one with a little theme music. So Raise, it's time to get bucked.
Hey, let me get it, cuz.
It's time to get let them loose. Let 'em loose. Oh man. So what this is about right now, this is where we get Razor's rants. As maybe AA Ron coined it that I can't remember. But today, man, like so Razor and I had like a little touch base, but we waited. We didn't even talk about it yet, Razor, because we was like, let's save it for the show. But this is about none other than former president. Was it Donald J. Trump? So yes. So I'm sure the world knows he has been convicted, not just charged, but convicted on was it 36 counts? Right?
Is it 36?
34, 36, right?
34, I thought.
34. Look at me adding them to him. Give more time. Give more time, Max.
I think it was 37. That's what I heard.
Oh my goodness. But truth be told though, like there are other charges, right, pending. So the count definitely could climb. But in all seriousness, all right, Race, let's get serious.
Yeah, let's get it.
Because in all seriousness, the larger issue, right? The bigger issue is, what does this really mean? What does it really say about our society? What does it say about our judicial system? Right. All right. So Razor's rant, I guess it's me and Max go first. Sorry, Razor.
Yeah.
He's got to hold your horses.
Gotcha.
So Max, I guess I'll kick it off, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with me, Max, from the beginning of my knowledge of, well, I guess the very, very beginning was like, he's wealth, like he represents American wealth, right? That was the very, very beginning. And so like you even have our hip hop culture that would allude to him, like when you wanted to be flashy and say that you had the most stuff,
mm-hmm.
you may name drop being the Black Donald Trump or something,
mm-hmm.
like that's what we used to do.
Mm-hmm.
But fast forward, and he became a politician. To a lot of people's surprise, became president. My issue was the respect for the office.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I saw him lacking, number one.
Mm-hmm.
That was number one. No different than if you're a pastor, I feel like not everybody should be called bishop. Too many bishops.
Agreed.
Right? Like that's a calling. And so my thing is for those who want to defend or those who want to have the party blindness, because I don't have party blindness. Like I can give you reasons on why certain values make me vote a certain way. But it's like if someone displays characteristics that I feel like are an endangerment or are against what I feel like that office of president stands for, that I don't see how a warm-blooded American who says that they're not racist or says that they're not bigoted or whatever the case is, how could you support somebody who acts and makes comments and says they're going to enact racist policies and bigoted and sexist policies? That part doesn't add up to me. So, so I say all that, and not to mention that like the New York Democrats and him been friends, which ain't even gonna get too deep into that because that shows you politically everybody kind of scratches each other's back. They may say they're a Democrat or Republican, whatever the case. But my thing is like when it comes to these counts, right? That's the question at hand, y'all. These counts. People saying it's a kangaroo court. I've heard people compare it to Jesus. And I'm like, huh? And then they backtrack when you call them out on it and be like, well, no, I wasn't comparing. I'm just saying that the situations are similar. Like, why would you even mention those two together?
Right.
It's like unless you had an underlying meaning to what you were saying. So don't backtrack. Right. But so my whole thing is like in a judicial system that I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it still has a majority conservative Supreme Court. Our court is a majority Supreme. So if he was guilty based on the courts, who are we to now be
the
like
jury of his peers?
Yeah, who are we to now be like it was for political reasons, right? If he's wrong, he's wrong. And then to try to get my white friends and stuff to see, and particularly them when it comes to the ones that support Trump, and even black folks too. Like you had some ignorant rappers in New York that was on this.
You be trying to convince them.
Yeah, but my whole thing is it's like we don't speak up when all these injustices get done to people of color. But now we care so much about injustice being done to a crooked businessman who did his thing. All right, but I know I'm taking too much time. I know we have to end the show.
Well,
Go
no,
ahead, Max.
you got all the time
That's
in the
my
world
thing.
because I
That's
don't
my
got much
thing.
to say here.
What's your razor go first to make sure he get his points in? What you think?
He may as well. I mean,
What you
it's
think?
not the only thing I can say is that this type of individual, this type of personality is not going to be good for our country. And it is very alarming if a little bit nervous about because there's a possibility that he could still end up being president of this country. And that for me is a little bit scary.
Yeah.
But other than that,
yeah. And Ray, the only other thing I would say is that I didn't say that to be partisan at all because I'm not feeling any of the candidates. Let me put that out there for everybody who thinks this is like a Democratic stump speech. That ain't what it is.
Right.
But I'm like number one, respect for the office, no matter what your job is.
What say ye?
What's up, Ray? Comparing Jesus. That's what I want to know.
All right. First off, I want to make sure
he the white savior. Razor. I'm sorry.
Yeah. He the greatest thing God ever gave him. No, I'm just playing. But all right. This is my take on him, and it has went back and forth for me. Right. I remember him before he went for president as just a crooked businessman, like most of them were, billionaire boys club. But what I also noticed was that I will compare his tenure and the way that he responds to Saddam Hussein. He, at times, I think, in my humble opinion, is a necessary evil. Because when money doesn't like him, poor doesn't like him, black doesn't like him, white doesn't like him, that's because nobody can really control him. So he might be for you over this side and against you the next minute. So because he has evil, like he can be even, honestly. I know black people going off and twisting in your seat and pulling your wig cap back and everything else. I get that, right? But the fact of it is, when Saddam Hussein got taken out of, what happened to the world?
That's fact.
He was keeping an evil at bay. Donald J. Trump, as you called him, right? 4 or 5, is a necessary evil. We're not going to be happy with everything that he says, right? But when you start to talk about everything that he did that was against us,
that's
that number, that Well, that number is just apparent. It's not so much that it wasn't, in my humble opinion, it's not so much of stuff that we weren't already battling, but we were more comfortable with battling it long as you weren't putting it in our face. Because then his constituents were going around acting like it was the thing to do, right? And that's when we had our real problem. It's not that it wasn't there. It's just that it wasn't in our face. But at the same time, he will sit there and disrespect high-end white people, political people in their face and make them go underneath him. So he would take their power away from them as well. So I believe if they're the ones that's going to eradicate him, if he gets only 4 years and has to do it all on the weekends at home or in the whatever, then that means that he bought the deal. You know what I'm saying? That means that he knows that they have him, and so he has to sway that way. But if they don't know that they can sway him, then they're going to prosecute him to the fullest extent. But to sum all that up, I'm saying he's a necessary evil because nobody can control him.
Thank you for that. The other part too, the political prisoner. I've heard that thrown around, calling him a political prisoner. And I already kind of made my point on how I think that's a bunch of garbage. But political prisoners historically have been people who have put their lives on the line for the rights of the underprivileged, to make sure that all men were free. To label him a political prisoner, let alone his trial to be like Jesus' trial.
I'm not going that far. I reposted that post myself because I wanted people to understand you cannot decide that you want to look at it one way because it follows your faith and your emotions, and you look at it a different way of how you're going to treat people just because you don't like this person because of your flesh. That's why I reposted it.
Yeah, so what do you think about the charges itself, as we come to a close?
Oh, he's guilty of more than what they charged him with. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. That's the bottom line, right?
Yeah, he's way guilty. He's guilty all the way. It's not even a question about it. But in his guilt, all the things that he did before he was president, the parties that he has, the stuff that he has on, pretty much like Puffy, you know what I'm saying? The stuff that he had on people makes people nervous because he could dismantle their way of living at the snap of a finger. And that makes him dangerous.
And that's the beauty of it, Razor Max. And I'm kicking you, Max, to take us home. That's the beauty of it right there, is that I wanted to expose. Yeah, because let's hold everybody accountable. Because what people talk about is like, well, Democrats crooked too. Right? So why ain't they getting convicted or whatnot? Let's do it.
What he's doing is what black people wanted Obama to do.
Yeah.
You know that, y'all? What he did, the way he was calling people out, was the way that we wanted Obama to do it.
True.
We wanted Obama to be so black that he offended white people. But we had a white person that came along and did it to us, and we hollering. That's the truth behind it.
Yeah, Barry wouldn't have got away with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But thank y'all. Very, very rich conversation. See, I knew it. Miss Max.
Yeah. Is that it? Let's see.
And that was Razor Ram. We got Buck with it.
Good job. Look, good show. Good guest. Good conversation. You only get that here on In My Humble Opinion. You already know. That's why you tune in. We appreciate you, Charlottesville. Take care of yourselves. Charlottesville and beyond, really. All of our listening audience. We appreciate you. Okay? Take care. We'll see you soon.
And we are controlling the transmission. Broadcasting from the Mountain Dew Studio in Charlottesville. It's WVAI LP 101.3 101 Jam.